My big problem with AI isn't the weird art that's taking over Facebook and squint if you don't know what that's supposed to be. And it's not even the prospect of me maybe losing my job to AI in a few years. My problem is that I know what they actually want it for. The people in charge of making decisions want to be able to offload responsibility for those decisions onto a computer. They want to be able to sit across a table from you and say, "We're so sorry about these layoffs. If it was up to us, you would all keep your jobs." But we can assure you that AI has modeled every possible outcome, and it says this company literally will not survive another year unless we do these layoffs today. They want to be able to do press conferences and say, "Look, we understand that you're upset about how this invasion went. Our hearts are with all of the families of the soldiers we lost. But we had the AI run the simulations, and it says that if we hadn't done this, we would have lost 10 times as many. So really, you should be thanking us." They want to create an entity that can at least maintain the illusion of being all-knowing. All they needed to do is to make a few correct predictions, or predictions that they can reframe as being correct, so that they can start talking about it as if it is a prophet. And then they'll say, at this point, it would be irresponsible not to let the AI make the calls.
So this to me seems like Dune. This seems like how you get to Dune, because Dune is... I'm probably not going to make more videos in bed because bed should be for sleeping, but Dune, you have the Butlerian Jihad, where the thinking machines revolt. But did the thinking machines really revolt, or did they just embrace the full implication of the responsibility we're already giving them? And is the next evolution of humanity to the next stage of humanity, the next stage in psychological development, to force people to take responsibility for their own decisions? Maybe we used AI, but are we even capable of that? Will decision making be relegated to people high in Bacta tanks, ingesting the spice melange to see the future? Maybe. Be fascinating. Be very fascinating to see how this plays out. Because I only see the offloading of responsibility for decision making as a very bad thing. A machine cannot be responsible. So this is really why I gotta not make videos in bed, because I just made that video in bed. And now I'm like, oh, I have to add on to it because I really want to explain exactly why this goes to Dune. So Dune, the book series, is, to my understanding, as someone who hasn't read it, but has looked into it a good amount. You know, I've spent like 20 hours, well over 20 hours, maybe at least 40 hours looking into the Dune book series. So I know a little bit about it. And what's interesting about the Dune book series is the same thing that's interesting about all good book series. It's that the Dune book series it's trying to take its place in history. It's trying to solve the next stage of the questions that have always plagued humanity, the questions that have always pestered humanity, the questions that have always fascinated humanity. It's really both good and bad. These questions torment us, and they also are responsible for all of our progress and all of our invention and all of our joy. It's very interesting. So Dune takes its place in this discussion of ideas. I'd say Isaac Asimov's Foundation does. I would say Alexander Dumas' The Count of Monte Cristo does. I would say that Batman and Alan Moore's Watchmen do. I would say V for Vendetta does. I would say The Odyssey certainly does. The Arabian Nights does. The Song of Roland, though I have yet to read it. It's on my shelf downstairs. These are the books that shape the world. These are the books that are made from the shape of the world. These are the books that those who are fascinated by the shape of the world read, because in this fiction there is a lot of truth. Now, one of the main themes of Dune is that humanity needs to move beyond their desire for an emperor, for a single leader. This is where Leto Atreides has to become the God Emperor and the giant sandworm, and by being this God Emperor sandworm, he then dominates humanity for 10,000 years, prevents all progress, and traumatizes humanity such that they will never accept a single leader. Before this, there was the Butlerian Jihad, where the thinking machines took over. I think that this is accurate insofar as human beings are. So I had to overcome really horrible, debilitating insomnia. Like all the symptoms of fatal insomnia, I have overcome 3 times. I've lost the ability to sleep 3 times in my life. And it's like a plane stalling mid flight. The engines and comms are unresponsive. It's terrible. And it is only by the grace of God that I am still alive, even though I did every single thing in my power and well over 20,000 hours of research to figure out how to be alive. Still only by the grace of God that I'm alive. So I'm in this odd position where I'm like asking myself, I'm like, why am I the only person that's figured this out? Like, wouldn't someone else in a better position have figured this out? I mean, I'm in a really great position, so maybe not. But might not someone else in a better position, I don't know, one of the people paid tons of money to research conditions, have figured this out. And no. Well, why not? Well, because we live in a society where your ability to get grades is not based on your ability to master the material, but based on your ability to convince this other person who. And I got a lot of respect for history teachers, because history teachers are they're the successful historians. But as far as science goes, science teachers are failed scientists. So we got failed scientists who are resentful, giving out bad grades to people who are actually intelligent. This is what's actually going on, and I have the receipts. Oh, I have the receipts. C.S. Lewis talks about this as well, the corruption of education. The education system is corrupt. Well, why? Well, because people don't want to actually figure out who knows what. We don't want to actually take responsibility for determining whether or not someone's educated. Like, if you come to me, I'm going to want to make sure you're educated. I'm going to sit down and talk to you. But in academic circles, it is considered rude to talk about your area of expertise with other people whose expertise is the same. This is because 99.999% of people are essentially pathetic, and they just don't want how pathetic they are to be exposed. And so we build institutions as shells to protect the pathetic who do not want their patheticness exposed, basically. And now if you're in academia and you're struggling to navigate, I would say leave academia, leave this corrupt Egyptian incentive structure that we've created based on fiat currency, where your ability to get stock evaluations for loans is based on the number of PhDs you have working for you. So then you get more loans to get more PhDs to get a higher stock evaluation to get more loans. That's actually how these companies work, and I went and verified it. So I'm just going to keep on talking about how the actual world is. And everyone who's just a pansy and upset about this because they never went out to verify how the world actually works could just leave, go away. I don't really care if you're offended by what I'm saying. I just don't care. I went out and actually found out what the world was like. So if you haven't done that, up yours, woke moralist. So basically, this is how the world works. Like, most companies are not oriented around actually solving problems. Even Walmart, which I was really impressed with, and I read Sam Walton's book, has abandoned its founding principles and now hires many, many people who do not speak English, or at least pretend to, and they will lose their edge that they gained by doing the opposite, because that's what Sam Walton, the founder of Walmart, believed in. Like, he believed that if people no longer spoke English who worked at Walmart, it would fail. And they don't. So it's going to fail. because the people running are complacent morons. According to Sam Walton, the guy who founded it. Go read your dad's book if you're pissed with me. So basically, this is the world. And the reason the world is like this is because people have been able to make the world like this for the first time in human history. And now that we've become competent enough to hide our incompetence, we will just do so to the ends of the earth and use AI to do that. So I think the Butlerian Jihad is actually highly likely, not because the machines will actually try to take over, but simply because the powers that be will abnegate all responsibility to the machines, because they were never really responsible people to begin with, because a lot of the structures around power are problematic, because power favors nepotism and nepotism favors nicey nice go along to get along, which is the antithesis of truth. Unless, of course, we get a Napoleon. Maybe we'll get a Napoleon who will bring in a new era of American dominance. And maybe, but I don't think so. I think the era of American dominance will, I mean, this is a strong problem, like, unless we can solve this problem, which I'm actually trying to do through my bloodline right now. More on that later. Okay, honestly, I'll be really real about this. Unless we can create a culture that is a mimicry of Mycenaean Greece to the degree that we're engaging in a sort of refrigeria ritual involving high doses of psilocybin mushrooms, and I would say Orthodox Christianity that incorporates a saintly version of ancestor worship within a familial church and create a network of those. I really believe unless we can do that, even if we do that, it still might, like, this human laziness tendency could still infect again all the great houses and lead to another Butlerian jihad. It's so fascinating because he's so right. Like, people do just want to abnegate all responsibility, and that will lead to this. So eventually, I think that outlawing the thinking machines and then building infrastructure, but even then at some point, I guess their solution is to make the religion, the new Orange Catholic Bible, becomes supposedly through religion we're going to brainwash people to not create thinking machines, and that's just the solution. But this is actually, I think this gets deeper. I think we need to come to terms with thinking machines. I think that's sort of what Dune is convincing me of, is that we need to come to terms with thinking machines, because if we don't come to terms with thinking machines as a species, if we don't come to terms with our own laziness as a species, if we don't come to terms with wanting to go out into the woods to consult with the witch who's high on Amanita muscaria to figure out where the crop frogs are hiding, I think until we develop personal responsibility, I don't know. I mean, I don't think there's a solution outside of that. I think Christ himself is that adoption of personal responsibility through the acceptance of unjust suffering. Which I kind of did by fixing my insomnia problems. So, and I'm not even the first person to do something like that. Like, that was Jesus. And there's been many other people who have done these things since then, which is what's given us the society we have today that allowed me to do that. So I don't even think that I'm an aberration of the pattern. My nose, you can kind of really tell it's crooked. I don't think I'm an aberration of the pattern. I think that this is fascinating. This is very fascinating. I could see half the economy going AI slop like just brain dump mode, where they abnegate all responsibility. And then the other half of the economy and businesses don't. And then all those other businesses just fleece the other businesses. Maybe it's like a fourth, a fourth, a fourth. Like a fourth of the businesses that rely on AI win, a fourth of the businesses that don't rely on AI win, a fourth of the businesses. I don't know. I mean, I think this is going to be. I mean, people already completely just turn their brains off anyway, and that seems to account for the complete failure of our educational system, the willful blindness of our medical system, and um communism, because people keep wanting to put their faith in governments that just genocide them because they won't open a history book. Let me know what you think in the comments.